We've been asked to make a stealth PEMF device. Obviously, I cannot tell you why it's stealth. You know what stealth means, obviously. And it's going to be used in a really, really unique way. And it has to have a unique function. So, as I can say, I can't tell you guys a lot about it. It's kind of a secret. But
quick pause. I want you guys to pay attention to this build because we're going to be using a lot of this knowledge that we're doing with those coils and this mini mat for the Bipolar coming up. The Bipolar project is complete. I'm making footage as we speak, and we're going to teach you guys how to do it. I finally got it done in such a way that's super easy. Power supply, the right 8 bridge, special PWM, a buck converter, a fan in, fan out, and a resistor that's not on that picture. Look at that beautiful bipolar square wave we got. Look at that rise time. That, my friend, is 2 millionth of a second. And we know rise time is what it's all about.
You can be part of the build, nonetheless. And so there's going to be 6 coil, really close together like this, working on the 12-volt system. I will show you the math I did on the computer. But so what this is a pillow, a camping pillow. I get rid of all the foamies inside, and so it's like just a bag now. And then I will put coils inside of it, and then so they'll be hidden. There'll be a little cord coming out going to the power supply, and then we should have this. So this is my first ever Stealth PEMF device.
Okay, we're gonna build this thing together, and I'll just comment what I'm doing as I'm doing it. I want to thank you everybody for all the support and all the comments, and we got over 300 subscribers now. It's crazy. I can't believe that's happening to me. Anyway, so you should always solder your connection. Using butt splice is not the greatest, and wire nuts are just not the way to do it. So good soldering, technique, go see some YouTube videos and just get that done. So that way, your connection won't fall apart on you. The other really important things to understand is that magnet wire breaks easily. It doesn't take much. It doesn't like to be bent over and over again. So you should have a nice flexible wire between your coils to make your portable mat or your big mat or what I'm building right now flexible. Like I said, magnet wire does not like to be bent. Now, the connection should be taped. Not because there's a problem with wire shorting and stuff like that. It's just you want to protect that magnet wire. So grab your flexible wire and then bend it against the coil and give it a wrap of tape right there. And then just wrap it around a few times. This will protect the magnet wire, and you're gonna have a nice flexible connection between all your coils. Yeah, it takes a little bit of time to do, but you know what? I think it's really important to get the job done right. I think in the long run, you'll save yourself some time from having to open up your mat and find out where the break is. I went through that phase early on, trying to get things done fast and cheap, and it does not work. Learn to solder. Now, as you can see, got everything connected in series, the 2 series in parallel, and to the PWM. That's basically all. And I shove the coils in there, see how it looks, see how it feels, and then check my resistance. And now I'm gonna have to do a little bit of mat. We're gonna talk about that in a second.
Okay, I get a lot of question about how do you line up the coil if you don't have a fancy gauss meter. So there's a 5-volt power supply, goes into my ZK, and out of the ZK goes into 2 coils. I just did this quickly so I can show you guys. Now watch this. You want to know how to line up the coils. Okay, neodymium magnet mounted on a string and whatever. You can just use that in your hand. I'm just using this so you can see that I'm not fudging anything. So now I'm going to take a coil on my mat. This will become my master. And we're going to put it right there. Now you see the way the magnet moves? Okay, we'll flip it the other way and put it there. You see? Like, if I line them up perfectly, they almost cancel each other. Right? I mean, nothing is perfect. One coil might be stronger than the other one a little bit. They're not perfectly lined up. Okay, flip it back the other way. Put it back there. All right. So now at this point, I know that these two coils are lined up the same way. Then you can grab the third coil, keep it on the master, had it there. This one is not connected, so it's not going to make any change. And then you can see the way it is. Try it the other way, and then if it's obvious, then put it down, mark it. What I like to do is a piece of tape, blue tape, and I know all my coils are facing the right way. There it is again. Look how the magnet moves. I'll flip it. Look at that, almost nothing. So right now my two coils are canceling each other. Right now they're adding to each other. Just a quick visual. Canceling, adding. Okay, and just so you know, you can see when I do test, I usually set it up at 1 hertz, and I just do 50% duty cycle because it just comes by default on that. You could use anything you'd want there, it wouldn't matter. Right?
I'm going to carry on. You see I tape all the connections and stuff. I place them around. We're going to have to check the orientation of the coil, obviously. So I've never used a mat like this before, so I've been playing around quite a bit to see how it's going to all look. No matter how many times you plan it, it's always failed. There's always something you didn't know. Now I plugged in a 24 volt 10 amp power supply to this, and then I decided to check the resistance of the coil on that, and I did a little math and realized that I was going to pump in way more power than the ZK could do. So I just used a 5 volt battery with a USB and plugged it into it, and then just use 5 volt to check. Now what I'm doing is I'm checking my coil orientation using my gauss meter, and it tells me north south north south. And I put a little piece of blue tape so I don't lose the marking, and then off I go. Now you're gonna see I should have done that before I got all the wires, so now I'm trying to make them all lined up in such a way that they'll be good. But you can see I can't get away from that cross right there no matter what I do, like playing Tetris here. I had no choice. I decided I was just gonna cut it off, turn it around, splice it, solder it back together. If you do a solder like a proper solder, it'll be fine. That place is not flexible anymore, but I'm not overly worried about this because this small mat won't get bent around like a big mat would. And then right here, I'm basically getting the, you guys have seen that box before, I used it before. I got the ZKPP2. It's gonna fit inside of this. I just have to make a bigger hole at the entrance for the wire, and then we're gonna glue that onto the power supply, which we've proved now, thanks to that comment that I got last time, that the power supply does not interfere with our signal. We're clear on that, so thank God for that, because that could have been a disaster. Now I always use alcohol, clean everything up, and I use an industrial two-sided tape, and I'm going to put it on. Now the idea with this build, like I said, it's a stealth build, so I want to make this look like just like a heating pad, so that way we can be disguised in plain sight with it. So it doesn't look like there's any electronics, nothing flashy, nothing that stands out. Just clean everything up, glue it on, and then Bob's your uncle. So a lot of people have been asking me to make a high-powered PEMF mat. I won't, for two reasons. One, that means we would have to use higher voltage, more heat, or we have to switch over to capacitors to eliminate all the heat and everything. So when we use capacitors, the frequencies goes out the door. We're only like whatever how long it takes, like the time that it takes for the capacitors to get charged, that's where your frequency becomes. So I'm not going to go there. And two, like doing the capacitor thing is dangerous, guys. I mean, like you need some formal training into that. And if you use the wrong capacitors, wire them backwards in some instance, like the thing could blow up in your face. It can zap, you know. Like you end up with a capacitor that gives you like a 3000 volt jolt. Like you're going to feel that, right? On top of that, right, up to basically 1000 gauss and below is considered safe, no matter what, no matter where, right? You can expose your whole body, including your head, to that exposure, and you'll be fine. There is a way, and it's the RTMS when they do it. Okay, and we're not going to get into too much detail about that because I will later on, but it makes your muscle twitch, and they do that to expose for a different reason, which we're not going to talk about it today, but we'll talk about it soon. So if you have a brain damage, if you have a concussion, you have some, you know, some bruising in the brain, or you just are exposed to too high of a field, you can actually do damage to your brain. And we're talking about quite high thing. So as a security level, they said anything below 1000 gauss, we'll deem that to be safe, because they found out at 3, 4, 5,000 gauss, that's where the stuff was starting to happen. So the people that build those, you know, 5 Tesla, which is like 50,000 gauss, right? It'll make your face twitch. It'll make your brain. It could actually damage your brain, and it'll make your muscle twitch if you expose your brain to that.
Steve, sorry for the intervention, but I must state the following. 10,000 gauss could cause damage to the brain. I am referring to the fact that at such high intensity level, there could be a risk of tissue damage, seizures, headaches and other adverse effects on the brain. TMS devices can go higher than 10,000 gauss, but they are designed to produce magnetic fields that can safely stimulate nerve cells in the brain. There is a pre-medical done to ensure there is no prior issue that could lead to damages. I must insist, a pre-medical is done to ensure no prior condition exists that could lead to very negative side effects. The intensity and frequency of the magnetic field are carefully controlled to produce therapeutic effects without causing harm. The safety and efficacy of TMS and PEMF therapy have been established at intensities that are much lower than 10,000 gauss. Using such high intensity would be considered extremely dangerous, and it's not recommended to use anywhere on the body. While high-intensity electromagnetic fields may have greater potential for therapeutic effects, they also have a greater potential for negative side effects. Therefore, high-intensity electromagnetic fields should be used with caution. Some studies have suggested that high-intensity electromagnetic fields, higher than 500 gauss, may be more effective than low-intensity electromagnetic fields, 10 to 100 gauss, while other studies have not found any difference. It's important to note that more research is needed to determine the optimal electromagnetic field strength for PEMF therapy, and the best intensity level will depend on the condition being treated and the individual.
Just so you guys know, our TMS, they go to like 2 or 3 Tesla sometimes, but they never go higher than that. So those guys that make like a 5 Tesla electromagnetic field, I mean, I don't think that's reasonable. Like personally, I think that's crossing a line that I won't. Now, the optimal electromagnetic field for PEMF that it's been found in research over and over and over and over again, it's always been between 30 and 75 gauss. It's always the same thing. They always found the best results for it, and everything was fine. Now, because of that, that's why I build a mat the way I do. That's why I do everything the way I do. I never go over 100 gauss on anything. There's no need to. Anyway, that was my rant. I hope that puts some people at ease, the reason why I do certain things. Okay, so the power supply is 12 volts, 6 amps. Gives us 72 watts. That's the max you can output. We gonna have 22, but we're not gonna have 6 coils in series. We're gonna have 3 coils in series, and then 2 in parallel. And the coils of 95 reps each, and we're not going to have an external resistor. So you can see here we're at 88.73%. I always say never go higher than 80. It'll be fine. We're going to keep the duty cycle really low on this. It's probably going to be around 4%. They'll give lots of time for everything to cool off in between. Obviously all the mat is going to make all the heat. And the resistance, when I actually calculated it with my own meter, was a little higher than 1.5. It was actually 1.7. So let's reduce this. So this makes it 1.9, and it was 1.7 some. So as you can see, it's going to change things a little bit, right? So we're going to be in between. So we're going to be right where we need to be anyway. So remember guys, this calculator, it's just a simulator of sort, and it's just to help us kind of get the things going. Real life is always different, right? So there it is. Once again, calculator put to good use, and then we know it's possible to do what we want to do.
There you can see it pulsing. Okay. They're all making approximately the same. I'm trying to go right dead center. You can push the hold. So right dead center, we're making about 36 gauss. Where's the center of this one? There it is. There it is. Yeah, about 35, 36 gauss, right dead center. So what we have here is a giant magnetic field that does, right? So it's pretty freaking amazing. So this is gonna go on the chest like this, right? And look at this, this is like one giant coil basically, right? All these coils are facing the same way, they're all pointing in the same direction, so it doesn't matter which way you put it on.
This is what it looks like when it's done. The yellow tie wraps, I changed them by the way, I put some black one. Remember, we're going stealth. But the PWM is hidden inside the beautiful little custom-made black box. The back side is glued on, the front clips in just beautifully, and I put a little piece of tape there. The mat looks like heating mat, and it's nice and clean. Look at that. Like, nobody will ever suspect this. By the way, I really appreciate the comments you guys give me, and if you've been here to the end, just leave me a comment. Let me know how you think of those videos. So thank you for staying with me until the end. If you're getting something out of this, please think about joining Patreon. They're gonna get, I got a few Patreon by the way, and I want to thank them very much. They're gonna get all the drawings for the Bipolar, which is done at the time of this recording. It's completely done, and we're gonna get all the drawings. They're gonna get all the information first, and then we'll go from there. But I never thought this channel would grow as big as it is now, and I know 300, it's nothing in the grand scheme of things, but for me, it's huge. Like, I got 300 people that actually are interested in this science, which is great because it is a good science. If you have any question, ask me. I'd like to be as available as I can to the people, and you guys be safe. I'm recovering really well from the COVID. Still a bit of a chest phlegm happening, but I've been using my bipolar mat on my chest, and believe it or not, helps like it actually helps me and make me feel better. So we'll go from there, guys. And the next few videos I will be talking about my glasses, and I'm getting a lot of questions about that.
amazing things that, yeah. And I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it out loud. Subscribe. That's going to help the channel grow too. And think about the Patreon too. All right? You guys be safe. I'll talk to you soon.